So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. And today I'm joined by Greg Wilkinson. He's from the band Shrinkwrap Killers, which basically, when I say band, he does everything in this band. So, Greg, how are you today, man?
I'm doing well. I hope everyone's doing great out there.
Yeah. So before we start the interview, I wonder if you'll do it with the shrimp wrap because I watch your music videos, but but I'm like that has to be uncomfortable to talk.
I thought about it. I was thinking, should I wear shrink wrap? And then I was all, what if I can't hear the questions that well or, something like that. And I decided not to. So, it would be sitting around for like an hour and a half and shrink wrap might be kind of a bizarre move.
I would imagine so. So you have the shrimp wrap right next to you,
Got
like
this guy.
yeah, that's like if you see the music videos for you, like you'll check out that the shrimp wrap is part of the appeal.
Yeah.
First of all, your music is so wacky and insanely out there. But if I ask you, like, if someone is like, if someone went like, what does Shrimp Wrap Killer sound like? What would you say to someone that's never heard of you guys?
Oof. Yeah, because I feel like it's an amalgamation of a bunch of things, but I always like good buzzwords now, Spitz, Ramones, Gary Newman, Kraftwerk, some Wall of Voodoo, Devo. There's a lot of those kind of inspirations I draw from personally. So I always just throw those names out. But
Yeah,
new
I,
new wave, some post punk, depending on the song too, right? Could-
yeah. Some songs are different. Some songs are harder. You have more of like that different instruments. So you play every instrument on this band. What instruments do you play on this record?
Everything.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean just so there's guitars, bass, keyboards, drum machines, always drum machines. I enjoy that for as the rhythm. And vocals, lots of vocals. Um, think that's pretty much it though. Yeah, nothing too fancy. Mainly, you know, just loving the synth guitar bass combo.
Yeah. And your upcoming album, which is coming out on the June 13th, called Feed the Clones Part 2. So it's a continuation of Feed the Clones Part 1.
Yes.
There's like a running theme or concept from Part 1 to Part 2.
So the main part of the theme is the artwork. And I started working on a big batch of songs that was clearly going to be too much for one record. And so what happened was I wound up shelving a big batch of them after Feed the Clones Part One. Or while I was doing Feed the Clones Part One, I set the songs aside that I felt fit well together, and then the other ones. So I saw my songwriting diverged in that when I was making Feed the Clones Part One, and those songs were all I wrote all the music first and then wrote the vocals after. And then part two, I actually laid down the drum tracks and then for most of the songs, and then I composed all the vocals and then built the music around the vocals. So they're actually almost exactly opposite. Um, which so I kind of wanted but I didn't want to make one LP with all these songs. It would have been a long listen for people. So I feel like the theme is more of an inversion, if that makes sense. But they were all the songs were most of them were written around the same time. So I kind of wanted to kind of string the two albums together because I do feel like it still kind of captures a specific point in my life when I was writing these songs.
Yeah, no, and it's cool that you did things differently for Part 2. So the the idea of this like shrimp wrap killers, when you were coming up with this, like, is like, what's the story behind the band name?
So I've always wanted to do a new wave band, even as a kid, all the way up until my adult years. I even tried doing it before. I would record songs and stuff, but so I was watching Bad Boy Bubby around like I think it was around 2000 or something, and I remembered. So I had all these operations and I had a dental appointment. So I was like laying on just like on pills watching Bad Boy Bubby in my VCR and it was just looping over and over again. And so I there's a scene where Bad Boy Bubby winds up getting picked up by this rock and roll band. It's basically a kind of a goofy new wave band and they're wearing shrink wrap on as a like they're all dressed up, you know, very 80s feeling, and then they're wearing this shrink wrap on them when they're playing. And so at the beginning of the movie, he winds up killing the main character without giving too much of the movie away. Don't worry, you're there's so much more to watch on that movie, but he kills his parents with shrink wrap because his parents led him to believe that that uh that animals and people don't breathe air. And so he experimented by shrink wrapping his parents and then they died. And so anyway, so when the band wore that, I was all how fantastic would it be to have a band where they wore shrink wrap and play new wave music. And so that was kind of the you know the genesis of that concept.
Yeah. Plus, I think no one had taken that name, Shrinkwrap Killers.
Yeah, yeah, so far I'm doing okay with that.
When I got the promo, the first thing I said to I'm like that name. I'm like, I just that name. I'm like, what the hell? Uh, so I saw the videos, like, and the videos. You have two videos right now uh,
hmm
of the songs. So I think one of the songs is Eminem Death, and the other one is what's the other one?
3D printing humans.
3D painting human being. Uh, they're all like super like unique. Like, tell me a little bit about doing those music videos.
Those so I don't know, they're super fun. I'm really kind of crappy at Photoshop and Premiere both, but I kind of feel like I enjoy the fact that I don't really know those programs very well to make music videos because it just makes it a little extra, you know, lo-fi feeling that I'm not professional. So I'm really just doing like the shooting the video stuff on my iPhone and then dumping it into a computer and trying to learn how to use, you know, animate stuff for 3D printing was probably one of the funner ones for me was so if in the video during the chorus, I have a scene thing where I licensed out a 3D printer image and then I was able to cut that image into multiple things so I could make it look like it was printing me as I'm singing. And so I wound up I don't know, like it was just one of those things where it took hours to do it and then I remembered I was all this is awesome. And then I put me into it singing and then the printer and me coming up were out of sync with each other, so I had to redo the whole thing. So it was kind of like a cool learning curve, you know. Like don't put the cart before the horse, you know, and stuff. And so I figured out how to do it, but yeah, the whole premise of 3D printing humans is, you know, there was a group of us hanging out and somehow we started laughing about 3D printing stuff. And then my wife said, you know, 3D printing humans out, you know, out of barf, you know? And so I said, my mind just started spiraling like, how crazy would it be that, you know, there's this experimental panel, uh, hired, you know, you get paid $500 and they just feed you and you just keep barfing and barfing and they use that material to make people, you know, all these AI robot people and stuff. And so and then eventually they're going to take over, I'm sure, you know. So that was like the whole premise. And so I was like, for the video, I had all these other ideas that I couldn't do, but I felt like being able to 3D print a human was my major success. And then for Imminent Death, the whole song is about being stuck in space post, and there's a whole planetary war that just blows the whole world up. So you're stuck in space questioning, did anyone survive? And so I'm sitting in, the main character sitting in a spaceship. So I was thinking, I'm gonna need I'm gonna need a lot of photoshopping skills for this one because I got to be in a spaceship. And so I wound up you know, getting images of being inside a spaceship and in a spacesuit, and then saying the stuff and put myself inside the spacesuit, floating around, and it was just really fun, and you know, just the chorus. I just really wanted a retro 50s kind of looking, radio, almost ham radio that I'm singing into, desperately going like, somebody help me. I'm stuck, just to kind of show how pointless all of it was, You're dead, dude, and I can't wait to die because I'm stuck in space in this tin can, kind of vibe. So both videos were super fun to make, and it was just very, I really find that both of those songs were really fun to create too, just because I had a good time with the subject matter. And Imminent Death was based off of a drum machine and vocals. The drum machine was off of my friend's organ. He had this little toy organ called a Fun Machine. John from Iron Lung Records, who actually put out Feed the Clones Part One, and I was like, I really want to make a song off this drum machine because it's so janky and sounds awesome and stuff. And so I just wanted the whole video to be equally as kind of lo-fi and just kind of strung together. Like you could have seen this in the 80s or something,
I had a comment about your music videos. When I was watching your music videos, it reminded me of when I was in school and you had to film like videos for class.
Yes.
This looked like videos that I used to film for class. And Eminent Death, the cockpit, I don't know why, in some angle, I thought I was looking at the Millennium Falcon cockpit.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it's amazing what you can like find these days and what you can assemble in Photoshop, for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, and something else with this record is sense of humor. Because there's a song called Zombies Are Not in Costume, which and peace bottles and shit bags. Like,
yeah.
like, like you can tell like these songs are not meant to be taken seriously. They're like fun. They're like poking fun at things that are happening. Like when you're writing stuff, do you prefer like I'm like yeah, I want it to be fun and making fun of stuff instead of like oh so serious like because there's enough seriousness. It's good to poke fun. So tell me a little bit
Yeah.
the sense of humor that you like to put into your music.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of songs kind of come out from hanging out and laughing with friends, and then like I'll say something or somebody else will say something completely absurd, and then my mind spins, and then I've all of a sudden have like lyrics for an idea, and stuff for. Yeah, and so a lot of it is just absurdities. And at times, you could, sure, somebody serious could dissect these songs and sit and find, darkness out of it. But overall, it's meant to be fun. Like, you know, yeah, the zombies are not in costume are about trick or treating during Halloween, and all of a sudden there's these what you just thought were some kids in zombie costumes just start eating people, and you're like, oh crap, like those aren't costumes, and run away, and it's just absurd things where you just, you hope you never experience something like, hopefully it's so absurd we don't actually experience that, right? Like that, it's like there's no way that that's gonna happen. And I just, for some reason, it just made me chuckle, when I was thinking about zombies having a field day during Halloween, and they're just like, this is awesome. Like, wait, nobody even knows we're zombies, and stuff. And so, and yeah, it's all the thing is you're right. There needs to be a reprieve sometimes, kind of like a vacation. I kind of look at this band as like reading comic books or watching, you know, cartoons or movies or something. It's something to kind of distract you from all the seriousness in life, or maybe you fucking hate your job and you just need to kind of release a little bit and just kind of laugh and have some static in the background that kind of picks up your mood a little bit. So that's kind of the big point of this project is I wanted most of my bands kind of have a serious, even if they're not lyrically, they're heavy and all that. And I just wanted something where people can kind of just laugh and have a good time with it.
Yeah, no. If you're playing other bands and it's serious, like your other band should be like, I just want to do the opposite. I hate it
Yeah.
when people are in other bands and they do something else and people complain, but it doesn't sound like his other band. I'm like, that's the whole fucking point.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Otherwise you're gonna just say I like this one band better than this other band because they sound the exact same, but maybe this one has a cooler person, or I don't know, whatever the thing is. So it's, yeah, exactly. You should be able to listen to bands and know, you can still tell. Like, I feel like if you know my songwriting and my guitar style or bass style, you're gonna still listen to it and probably be, people who know me are gonna be like, that's Greg. You know, I could tell like that Greg's in that band, you
What
know.
other band are you playing? Because when I saw your name, I'm like, I swear, I'm like, have I talked to Greg before? Because I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I do. So I play in Deathgrave, Brain Oil, Autopsy are like the three bands that like play shows now. So I'm out there doing more heavy metal stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I think I did. I interview Def Grave. I don't know. I've interviewed so many bands,
I know, yeah.
but I think is bass player a woman in Def Grave?
So I play guitar in Deathgrave, and then Autopsy and Brain Oil I play bass.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So
But yeah, that's awesome that you get to do here like something different because if you did something similar to your other bands, then because people will complain like, but it sounds too much like his other bands. You can't please anyone. Like
yeah.
sounds too much or it doesn't sound like too much. I'm like pick a lane, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
listening to this, I can tell that this is like your fun project. Like this is like I'm having fun with this, and like it's your passion project, if you will. So
Right.
yeah, so let's look at the artwork for this, so we can because the artwork is also quite hilarious. So and it's a continuation of the part one. So tell me a little bit about this artwork.
So this artwork was done by Santos. He's an old friend of mine and an amazing artist. So he actually did the logo for Shrinkwrap Killers as well. And so this is how we work. I mean, I have him do stuff for Brain Oil as well, but like this is how well he gets my brain is for the Shrinkwrap Killers logo. I said, I want my logo to look like those 80s glasses, with the little lines in them and stuff. And, maybe with some dripping blood or something. And so that's what he came up with. And I was all, that's fantastic. I can totally see those glasses in that, kind of thing. And so when we were talking about Feed the Clones, I really wanted, uh, I'm trying to remember. There was a Cronenberg movie where there was a hand coming out of the TV, and
Oh,
and I wanted that vibe, like like an old Cronenberg vibe, but then with all these robot arms, and and then he kind of took it next level, and he's like, I'm gonna have these robot arms kind of pulling this hand back into the television set, and so. I don't know. He just kind of took it next level, and I don't know. It's great, because I feel like a lot of my aesthetics, I really kind of want to harken to the '80s, just because it seems appropriate for this kind of stuff, you know? So that was the main premise of it, though, is the basis of Feed the Clones is you know, technology taking over, and you know, you kind of have to keep feeding technology more and more as your brain kind of dissolves, and then the clones take more and more. You know, it could, you know, it could be, you know, AI, or it could be robots or whatever. I mean, initially it was just more about robots, you know, in general, and it was kind of like almost a Battlestar Galactica kind of, you know, theme where like, you know, you're the clones become your masters, you know, if you've seen Battlestar Galactica
Oh,
yeah. Okay, cool. I was like, make sure you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, yeah. So it was kind of more of a joke theme on that. And so this is where it's like, you know, you're trying to get out away and out of away from the clones, and they're bringing you back into their little weird, you know, cathode ray tube to hang out in there. So yeah, but that's, I mean, I don't know. I loved what Santos did for the art.
yeah, it's really cool artwork, and the logo. That now that I've seen the logo there, that's an idea for when I do thumbnail.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Like that weird wriggly thing. So yeah, so it's the album's going to be out on the 13th on Carbonized Records. So
Hmm.
you doing all the things. Is this like a project that you will record music, but obviously, but not tour on, right? Because it's just you.
Yeah, I think so. So there, before COVID lockdown happened, I did actually have a lineup for, and we were going to play a festival, and then the lockdown happened, and then that didn't happen. And, you know, everyone's busy with bands, and I really just haven't entertained playing live, you know, with it again, because I would have to assemble a band to play live. I don't necessarily feel comfortable with just karaokeing, you know, in front of people over my music. I don't know. I don't know if that's what people would want to see. So I don't want to waste people's time with that. But someday I might get a lineup to do some gigs, but it'll never really that I could envision. I would never say never, but I can't envision this being like some, you know, hardworking touring project or anything. This is more something that's fun for me to just, you know, crank albums out every year and a half or 2 years kind of thing. And, you know, this will be my fourth LP. So, you know, just kind of keep going until nobody's interested in putting it out.
Well, if you at least play one show, you have to commit to playing with the full rap.
Oh, I will. I will. I definitely will be all shrunk wrap up and
Just put two holes where you can breathe, and
yeah.
maybe hear so you can hear something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe my eyes just so I could see what I'm doing.
You can sing, but yeah, uh,
Yeah. But
maybe
yeah, definitely.
like fans blowing air at you the whole show.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That would make my life easier. Yeah.
I would totally be, you know, like when I see bands that play with masks, I'm like, especially like bands that are do this like full tour, like a Slipknot, Ghost. I'm like, that's commitment because you're wearing that. I don't know how the nameless schools actually see, because when I see those,
Yeah.
where the hell do they see? Because
I
it,
know. Yeah, it's crazy. It's hard. And that's, I know if I were to, like, when I was gonna play a live show, I was just going to sing and have everyone else play instruments. That way I could effectively sing, you know, and not because it's, yeah, like when you're wearing a mask, it's hard enough, and trying to multitask and do that just seems like a joke unless you're gonna get real serious and work hard and practice a lot at it, which, you know, my other bands demand a little too much time for me to practice every week with a bunch of shrink wrap on and playing guitar or bass or something and trying to sing and do everything. So
no,
yeah.
Greg, no, we're not. Leave your shrink wrap at home. So yeah.
Ah.
So what where can like like what's the link for people who is this going because it's going to be out on CD and a few and vinyl as well, correct?
Yeah, vinyl, CD, and tape, as well as digitally if people are into that stuff. You can go stream it or whatever as well, stuff. But I'm really excited. I've always, every time I've gotten an LP and I've listened to the test pressing for the vinyl and it sounds great. So that's my preferred way of listening to it. So, but yeah, so whatever floats anyone's boats, there it's out there in that format.
Yeah, no, I'll post the link for people who want to buy it. And I just had like a picture, like if, it would be funny if you play your first show and you put out there, and everyone in the audience is with shrimp wrap.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. That'd be real commitment.
That would be like, okay, everyone, the shrimp wrap army.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So, Greg, it's been great talking with you. Maybe at some point we'll talk with your other bands, who knows, in the future. But I want to thank you, for taking some time of your day to chat with me about Shrinkwrap Killers. So the album is going to be out, Feed the Clones Part 2, out June 13th on Carbonize Records. If you like fun and just want to listen to music where you don't have to like 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 someone like I would be funny if someone reviews it and it's like real like into the lyrics and I'm like they're meant to be fun. Like I wonder what he was
Absolutely.
thinking when he wrote this song. Peace bottles and shit bags. What?
Oh man. Yeah, there is a backstory to that. I can't divulge all of it, but in the end it really resolves, and this is a real thing that can happen, is bands on tour and traveling around and going to the bathroom in the van. That's the only way to do it because you got to make the next show. And so that's what that song's about. We're gonna play your town tonight, and so we're gonna piss in bottles and shit in bags, and we're gonna get there on time. And we're just gonna smoke weed to cover up the smell because it's gonna be awful in there. So it's it's a real thing. It's happened, I hear. I've heard through the grapevine.
I'm sure. Do you guys take Febreze on the bus?
What's that?
Febreze on the bus so you can.
Oh yeah. That would probably be a more sane way of doing it, right?
Well,
Then
yeah, it should take out the stench. But yeah, I can't because well, I haven't been on tour, but I've seen videos like you're not like if you shit on the toilet there, you'll clog it, and then that's a problem. And then my question is like, why have a fucking toilet in the first place?
just yeah, maybe just when you're at the gas station, go to the bathroom there, or you got to stop. We're in vehicles still. So, like you still got to get gas. People still got to eat. People still got to go to the bathroom. I think, the trick is to not just be smashing fluids and food the whole time you're drinking, or you're gonna have to stop every 45 minutes and you are definitely gonna miss roll call. So, that's the trick.
That's the trick. So, Greg, thank you for that backstory. You know the backstory on that song. So, before I let you go, anything you like to say to the fans before we go?
I'd just like to say thanks for tuning in, and I definitely appreciate everyone who has supported and purchased records, LPs, digital or whatever in past, and I hope you enjoy this new one.
Awesome. So, thank you, Greg, again. So, Couchers, there you have it. The album will be out in June 14th. So, I'll post the link for people to get it. So, until next time, Couchers, the Sector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.